Did you know we are on track for prices to appreciate 18% by the end of this year? Stay tuned for this week's segment of Market Watch, where we talk about Ada and Canyon County market dynamics. Hi everybody, it's Joshua Barks here, Associate Broker with Keller Williams Realty Boise and the Barks & Co. Real Estate team. I'm so excited to bring to you the market dynamics for both Ada County and Canyon County this week. And I'm extra excited because I figured out how to do chapters. So in this video, you'll be able to see where I'm talking about Ada County and where I'm talking about Canyon County, and then where I'm talking about interest rates in the timeline. So you can skip ahead to the exact spot that you are interested in. If you're just interested in Ada County or just interested in Canyon, you can do that now. So I'm really excited to bring that to you. I know that this will still be pretty long for a few of you, so I'm going to give you a couple bullet points. Regarding Ada County specifically, the average sales price, number one, has come up 2.9% and is at $440,000. Meanwhile, the average asking price, if you took a tally of everything on the market right now and did an average, the average asking price is $702,000, which shows you that we are still on a trajectory to increase in prices rapidly. Bullet point number 3 is going to be interest rates are continuing to rise. We are at 3.05 so far for the 30-year fixed. And like I've said before, we're likely going to stay below 4% by the end of the year, but we're going to see interest rates continue to rise modestly throughout the year. We might end up right now, the next couple months, I anticipate maybe 3.25 is where we'll hover. But by the end of the year, I'm expecting to see interest rates at 3.5, maybe 3.75. So that's kind of what we have for just kind of the highlights. Inventories coming up, number of sales and pendings is down slightly from what we saw this same time last year, almost entirely due to the fact that we don't have enough homes on the market to satisfy what needs to happen out there. So without further ado, we'll dive right into those market dynamics. Here we are, February of 2021, and we're going to go over both Ada and Canyon County existing market dynamics. So first off, we'll take a look at what's going on in Ada County. As always, I like to start in this upper left-hand chart, the market trends that give you 1 year, month over month, of all of the activity for supply and demand. So red line being the number of active listings, gray bar being pendings, and the black bar being the number sold. In February of this year, we had 186 listings on the market as of last Friday. So that's what we have here, which we can actually see is higher than what we had in October. So we're actually getting more listings on the market at a good pace. It's still well below where we need it to be. Last year, this same time, we only had 337, and we were complaining about it being the lowest it had ever been in recorded history at this time last year. If you go back and see that video, you'll see that. But now we have, way less than even that. 508 are pending, which is down slightly from what we had the same time last year. We have 352 homes that sold in February, whereas last year we had just under 450 that sold in February. So what we're seeing here is pretty much more of the same of what we saw in January. The number of pendings and sales are down slightly year over year, largely due to the fact that we just simply don't have enough homes on the market to satisfy the demand that is there. Luckily, as I predicted, inventory is rising as the weather is a little bit nicer and things start opening back up again. I hope we continue to be on that pace moving forward into the spring. We're going to experience a very strong spring. In fact, our average sales price is up to $440,000 for Ada County, almost 3% up since January, which is crazy because if we continue to appreciate at this same pace, we will have another 18% year by the end of the year. Now, I don't think it'll be quite that high. I think we're going to be closer to around 15% by the end of the year in the average sales price for appreciation, but coming up about 1.5% each month is what we're seeing right now. And going into the spring with inventory, even though it's coming up, we're likely going to see that going to be continuing. My prediction of seeing at least 7 or 8% by the end of May still stands, especially based on what we're seeing in the month over month so far with 2.9%. In the price breakdown for all price points in Ada County, what we're seeing is the average days on market is 15 days across all price points. And while the average sold price is $440,000, the average asking price, so what is on the market, if you added everything up and figured out what the average price was, they're asking $702,000 just about, which is crazy to think about and wrap your head around. So 440 is what things are selling for. The average home that's marked pending, the price for that's just under $520, and then the average asking price being $702. So you can see that prices are still going to be on a increasing trend quite drastically. In fact, things are rising very rapidly. We actually have less than 2 weeks supply all the way up to 400,000, less than half a month all the way up to 500,000, and we're still under 1 month supply all the way up to $1 million in Ada County. So it's really crucial if you're a buyer in this market to have an agent that knows how to navigate that and actually get your offer in front of the seller and be one of the ones that they consider. The average sold price to asking price ratio across multiple price points is above 100%. Now, what that means is most homes are selling for above asking price, which if you're paying attention to the market, we already know. But to get an average price of more than 100%, we're seeing some pretty astronomical sold prices to ask price ratios in some areas. So that's something to consider as well. If you're struggling to find something, you might want to start looking at some other options in maybe less desirable homes or things that are overpriced, because overpriced homes, even though the market has quote unquote never been better for sellers, overpriced listings are still sitting on the market because they're overpriced. Then when we go into Canyon County, we have 83 listings on the market compared to this same time last year's 150, and 279 are pending, while we had 176 sales in February, which again are down very similarly to what we saw in Ada County with the 215 that closed this time last year and the 367 that were pending. Now, when we look at how much inventory is coming up, it's coming up at a much slower pace in Canyon County, not to be unexpected because there are fewer homes in general in Canyon County than there are Ada County. The sold price, though, is appreciating at much the same rate. 2.8% is what we've seen so far this year. The new average sales price for Canyon County being $307 and change. And then the days on market is about the same as well. We have 14 days on market for average. And then sellers on average are asking just about $485,000, while the average pending is $360,000. And then, of course, the average sold being $307,000. So we're still seeing a rapid increase in Canyon County as well, staying in line with the same prediction that I have for Ada County, being that we'll end May, June-ish, we'll see this 2.8% read maybe 7 or 8. And at the end of the year, while we are on pace to do almost 20% again, I anticipate we're going to be closer to this 14% number. Hopefully things will cool down as I guess when I say cool down, I don't mean cool down to what we've seen in years past, but cool down for the craziness that it has been over the last year. and appreciate at a slower pace. And of course, we still have less than a month's supply across all price points up to 600,000, where we have exactly 1 month supply. And then it dips right below 1 month again from 800 to a million. And then for $1 million homes, we have exactly 1 year supply, as there are 4 active listings and 4 have sold in the last 12 months. So yeah, market trends, as you can see, month over month. We again complained about the lowest we'd ever had back in February of last year with 149 listings. Now we're begging to have at least 100 in Canyon County. And then that average sales price coming up 2.8% compared to Ada County's 2.9%. And then seeing this breakdown overall with inventory and the absorption rate there. Again, several price points are experiencing over 100% for that sold to asking price ratio, meaning that it is, as you know, very, very competitive out there. Now, with interest rates, they're actually still on the rise. In fact, we're up to 3.05 as of yesterday. So according to Freddie Mac, this is their national average for mortgage rates. And I did a little bit about this in last week's video where I went in depth on how mortgage rates can affect your purchasing power. And with rates right now, we started the year very close to our all-time historic low of about 2.5, 2.6 for the average 30-year fixed. And then we've been climbing very steadily since then, and we are projected to continue to climb throughout the year. We'll likely end up below 4% by the end of the year. My guess is that we're going to be 3.5 to 3.75, so 3.5 to 3.25 by the end of the year. And through the spring, we'll likely remain in the early 3s, so maybe to 3.25 as things get moving. Now, what we've seen for mortgage applications and things like that, again, according to Freddie Mac, the rate increase has not really affected the number of people that are applying because demand is still there, and the market is still very strong overall with inventory levels. And again, I did talk about how interest rates affect your purchasing power in last week's video, but I thought it would be nice to include in this one as well, showing you just an example scenario. Assuming that you have 20% down, you're getting a 30-year fixed conventional loan, and taking into consideration just principal and interest for the payment. So if you're shopping just price, or if you're shopping just payment, if you're shopping a max price, 2.5% gives you just under $1,300 a month, 3% up to $1,350, and 3.5% up to $1,440. And then if you're looking for that $1,500 a month, if you're just shopping payment, at 2.5%, you can be approved up to $475. If your interest rate jumps from 2.5 to 3%, now it cuts you down $25,000 to a max price of $450 for that $1,500 a month payment. And then if interest rates go up to 3.5, which they will by the end of the year most likely, that $1,500 a month now only gets you $420,000 in the maximum purchase price. Again, I covered this in a little bit greater detail in last week's video, but I thought it'd be nice to include here, especially because this is where you get all the really good information. And then if you have any specific questions about Ada County, Canyon County, how interest rates are affecting your purchasing power, or just general questions that can help you understand and navigate this crazy, crazy market that we're in, just let us know. Right now, I've seen so many people that are having a really tough time with navigating what is going on out there and how to wrap their minds around it. And for buyers, there are a lot of things that you can do with your offers that can help. And it really just comes down to terms and making sure, because price, while being a term, very important one at that, it isn't everything. In fact, I actually have an offer that got accepted for some folks where we were not the highest offer, and yet we won because we had better terms than the offer in highest position, which is incredible. So just as long as you know what you're doing and you have an agent that can negotiate on your behalf to get you in to be considered, that's just key and so important in this market. And then on the seller side, I've seen so many people just leave money on the table because they're accepting the first offer that comes in, or really not working with somebody that knows what they're doing to be able to get the seller the highest dollar. Or maybe because the market is so good, they're just like, oh, I'm just going to do it myself because anybody can do it. And that's true. Anybody can. But I really want you to think about, if you're in that position, are you doing yourself a disservice? Because are you pricing your home correctly? Because like I said, overpriced listings aren't selling. And do you have somebody negotiating for you to get you the best deal in terms that, apart from you? Because listings are selling for over asking price, multiple offers. And if you don't have the market exposure that for sale by owners don't typically have, because they don't have the buyer's eyeballs, you're likely leaving money on the table because you're not going to get the best price. So I'll get off my little soapbox with that, but I did want to mention it really quickly. And like I said, any questions that you have, I'm here to help. And that's really what we're here for, is to help provide you information and be your guide. My number is 208-914-1095. Of course, you can always call or text. Email is great as well. And if you're looking for more information on how we can help, just visit our website. Okay, so there you have it. Market dynamics for both Ada County, Canyon County, and talking about interest rates a little bit, revisiting what I did last week for how interest rates affect your buying power and what that kind of means to you, seeing rates go up. And of course, if you have any questions or have specific real estate goals, I'm happy to sit down with you via Zoom or even a one-on-one to help answer your questions and clarify what we need to do to accomplish your goals. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next week for our weekly wrap up of what's going on in the market. And don't forget, it's daylight savings time this weekend, so we lose an hour. And I will see you next week, but it'll be an hour early.